اهلا بيكم في بودكاست جديد. احنا بقالنا فتره كبيره جدا ما استضفناش حد اجنبي. احنا الحمد لله استضفنا كيفن كينج مرتين قبل كده، ومينا مرتين، وناس تانية برضو كتيره. وصدقوني يا جماعه، حاجه مهمه جدا والله. الفيديوهات دي المشاهدات عليها مش بتبقى عاليه زي بقيه الفيديوهات. طبعا ده ممكن يكون ليه اسباب كتيره، مثلا ان الفيديو او الحوار بيكون بالانجلش، بس انا دايما بحط ترجمه. بس صدقوني والله ان الفيديوهات دي فعلا بيكون فيها شويه معلومات مهمه جدا جدا، لان الناس اللي احنا بنستضيفها دي ناس ما شاء الله عملوا مبيعات ضخمه جدا على امازون. في منهم كتير جدا عمل بيزنس وباع البيزنس ده، وعمل بيزنس غيره وباع البيزنس بتاعه مره تانية. كميه المعلومات والخبره اللي هم بيشاركوها في الفيديوهات بتبقى قويه جدا جدا. وعشان انا حابب ان احنا كلنا نستفيد اكتر من الفيديوهات دي، فالفيديو ده برضو تقدروا تسمعوه باللغة العربية. يعني أنا ترجمته عن طريق ال AI باللغة العربية، ولو حابين برضو تسمعوه بالإنجلش هيكون أفضل، لأن برضو في مصطلحات لما بتترجم للعربي ما بتكونش ليها نفس المعنى شوية. فإحنا دلوقتي عندنا الفيديو ده بالإنجلش، وفي نفس الوقت برضو من الإعدادات في اليوتيوب تحت تقدروا تختاروا ان انتوا تسمعوه باللغه العربيه. وفي الفيديو ده انا استضفت صديقي اندري. احنا اتقابلنا قبل كده في دبي. اندري هو ما شاء الله من الناس اللي عملوا بيزنس ناجح جدا على امازون، وباع البيزنس بتاعه وضحى. يعني هو قال كده في الفيديو ان هو ضحى بحاجه غاليه جدا عشان البيزنس بتاعه يقوم وينجح على امازون. وحاليا هو بيمانج او بيدير حسابات او براندات كبيره جدا على امازون. في نفس الوقت برضو هو عامل التول دي قويه جدا. انا بشارك التول دي في الكورس عندي مع الناس المشتركه في الكورس، والحمد لله المشتركين في الكورس عجبتهم التول دي بشكل كبير جدا. خليني اقول لكم ايه هي التول بكل بساطه. مثلا نقول ان انا عندي منتجين، عايز ابيع البيلو اللي هي الباتر بيلو المخدة دي، بس انا محتار ابيع اللون ده ولا اللون الاغمق شوية. ناس كتير جدا لما تيجي تميز المنتج بتاعها برضو ممكن يكونوا محتارين اللون بتاعي يبقى عامل ازاي، اعمل انهي ديزاين. ففكرة التول اللي هي عنده اللي هي اسمها Product Pinion، هي فيها تولز كتيرة جدا، بس واحدة من التولز المهمة اللي داخل الأداة دي ان احنا هنرفع صورة المنتج ده وهنرفع صورة المنتج ده، والأداة هتبتدي تظهر المنتجين او الاختبار بتاعنا ده على عملاء بتشتري من على امازون. والعملاء هم اللي هيعملوا فوتينج او هيعملوا تصويت انهي ديزاين عجبهم اكتر او انهي لون. ومش بس كده، هيكتبوا كمان كتكست او كتابة هم ليه مثلا عجبهم اللون ده اكتر من اللون التاني. ومثلا لو في تعديلات معينة كانت لو اتعملت هنا كانت المنتج ده هيكون احلى كتير. ده غير برضو ان احنا في المقابلة دي اتكلمنا عن حاجات مهمة جدا، ازاي هو بيعمل برودكت ريسيرش او ازاي هو بيدور على منتجات عشان يقدر ان هو يبني براند يعمل ملايين الدولارات، وحاجات تانية كتير برضو شاركناها في الفيديو ده. فعشان كده الفيديو ده مهم جدا جدا ان انتوا تشوفوه. وقبل ما نبتدي الفيديو ما تنسوش تعملوا لايك للفيديو ده واشتركوا في القناة وشاركوا الفيديو ده مع اي حد ممكن يستفيد بيه. ولو حابين ان انا استضيف برضو ناس اجانب تانية اكتبوا لي في التعليقات اسامي الناس، وان شاء الله برضو هتواصل معاهم ونستضيفهم في القناة. ويلا بينا نشوف الفيديو عشان ما نضيعش وقت.
So, welcome back to the English version of the podcast. Today, we have a very special guest and friend, also, Andre. He is a very successful Amazon seller, and also right now he manages major brand on Amazon.com. And he developed an incredible tool for Amazon product testing. So, grab your pen and paper and let's dive in. Andre, how's everything going?
It's going great. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, we first met, we know each other, I think, in a year ago, and we first met in World of Dubai. And also you
That's
invited
true.
me for a coffee next day. So it's good feeling to meet the people you used to watch online or talk or WhatsApp or whatever. So it's a good feeling.
100%. I love meeting people in person.
Yeah. So are you ready?
I am.
Okay. Every successful seller has his own journey about failure, how he started. And also, I think 100% of any successful seller, he had a lot of problems when he started. So I want to know from you, how did you enter the Amazon journey? And when exactly you started to sell on Amazon?
Yeah, for sure. That's a loaded question. I'll start with the timeline. I started in 2017, late 2017, in Q4, and I started because I realized that my job doesn't allow me the growth I wanted, and it doesn't allow me the location independence that I really wanted in life. And I somehow learned that one of my friends of the friend was running an Amazon business, and it seemed interesting, and I was like, I can do this too. Let me try. If he can do that, I can do it too. That kind of thinking. So yeah, it's been quite a while. I think it's 8 years now, technically, since I
Yeah,
started. Yeah,
almost
it's been a
48.
journey. Yeah.
So a lot of problems for sure you faced. Every seller, when I speak or meet any successful seller, he has a lot of problems. So what are the major failures you have? Because I believe when someone wants to learn something, for sure, courses are good, but also when you do it practically, it's totally different.
100%. Yeah, it's not about the knowledge as much as I think having the right mindset and staying consistent, being patient with the results, but impatient with daily action. So in my case, I think the biggest issues were, well, apart from struggles to rank, which is the never-ending struggle, and win the customer, I think the biggest kind of obstacle I had was like first 6, 7 months into the business. I realized that I pretty much don't have a business anymore. So what happened? Um, I placed my third order, which at the time was the largest inventory order I ever placed. I think it was 5,000 units of my first product. And my first product was the product that every guru was saying on YouTube, don't launch this. It was a scratch off map. Okay. So
Okay.
I placed this third order of the scratch off maps. And I realized that after Amazon received the inventory and people were starting to buy and use the scratch off map, they started leaving 1, 2 star reviews. And some of them were kind enough to send me an email essentially explaining, hey, Andre, your scratch off map cannot be scratched. So essentially, the whole order had a defect. Is after we tested quite a few, we realized like 10, 15% defect, but you still don't know which ones have the defect until you scratch them, means the whole
Mhm.
5,000 units had to be thrown into garbage. So that was the biggest challenge. So quality, I guess, was the problem. And yeah, at that time it was I had to make a hard decision. A week before that happened, actually, maybe a week or two, I was celebrating with my wife that I just crossed my first milestone, which was 20,000 K sales in a month. I was very pumped, and I was like, "This is moving in the right direction. I just have to keep growing." And it still had one product, right? So quite lucky. First launch right away. And then this happens, and then I recall all of that, remove everything from Amazon, throw it to garbage. My supplier doesn't take responsibility for it. My supplier says it's not my problem. It's probably because it was overheated on the way, and it's not supposed to. And but it happened. Like you sell in Arizona, Florida all the time. Never had it before. Now, all of a sudden, right? So that hit me hard. But what hit me even harder, a couple of weeks after I realized we have this issue, my then employer said, Andrew, we're going through restructuring and we no longer need you. So we're going to be laid off in a month.
Oh.
So I lost all the income I had, including my business now. And the only thing I had left was my little townhome in Western Canada, in a smaller town where I lived. And I realized that at the time market was up, so it was worth more than what we paid for it. So I made the decision to sell it and not go look for another job and just use those funds to recover the business. Yeah, long story short, same year, December, I'm back in stock. I developed proper quality inspection process, like super thorough, and I'm back to normal sales. It took a little bit of efforts to get it back to what it used to be, obviously with all the negative reviews, but we got to 50K in December that year. And from then on, I kept growing and luckily kept launching new products. So that saved me.
Yeah, it's a perfect story because I believe every successful man or woman, we have to sacrifice for something in order to succeed in another something. You lost your income, your job, and you have a business. It's not stable. You have to sacrifice your home in order to overcome. So I believe that
Yeah,
someone wants
there's
to,
always a price.
yeah, yeah. So you said you have been launching new products. So what do you see to scale up your Amazon business? Do you see to scale up your product and rank on a lot of keywords as you can, or launching new products? And also, what is your launching strategy in 2025 in terms of the criteria of the product selection?
For sure. Yeah, that's a loaded question. First of all, I think it's both. You need to optimize what you currently have, but the fastest growth, from my experience, comes from launching new products. You kind of have to always be launching, and that solves most of the issues. If your current products don't sell well, launch new products. If your current products don't have enough margin, or pay per click gets like way too expensive, launch other products. All right. And for criteria, it's obviously it depends on you and your preferences because every niche is a little different and every niche comes with its own perks and obstacles. For me, I like subscribe and save products if possible. So that requires a lot more investment to start with. So not something I would recommend for new sellers, but for me, I want to have something people have a reason to come back and buy again. So something consumable, it could be a kind of personal care item, beauty item, something like even supplements would be consumable, but obviously not an easy niche either. And I'd like something that has at least 35 to 30% margin, ideally, because then I know I have some room to play with and do some necessary marketing campaigns and push it through uh, potentially even influencers, creators, give them commission, right? So that's kind of what I would have in my mind as criteria. But I know it's not an easy
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
criteria to follow. And I remember we talked with you in person in Dubai about the ones you use.
Mhm.
That I would say is definitely an easy approach for newer sellers.
For sure, I believe that. And also, it won't take too much investment to start with.
Yeah, exactly. It's a
Okay.
very cash intensive business.
So, okay, what I understand from you that you launch products in a very competitive niches. So, what are the criteria or what are the signs for competition? For me, the competition, as I said to you when we talked about my strategy, the competition for me is how many competitors are using the exact keyword. So, what are the
Right.
factors for the competition in terms of you?
It's definitely like keywords are definitely a good way to measure how many people go after them, how competitive it is. I also use a tool called Dataroa where I can see average conversion on those keywords. So essentially, within the first couple months, I can tell if I'm converting better, if I measure my conversion versus average, and if I am, then there's good chance I'm going to survive long term, right? So keywords definitely is the way to analyze and measure competition. But also, I would say, even if you go into competitive spaces, which is what I like, because I want to be selling something that's an evergreen problem, so that business is sustainable. So it's less of, so the business cycle of the product is longer, life cycle they call it, I think. On average, life cycle of a product is like 18 to 24 months. And at some point you get to the top, right? And then it drops slowly. So ideally you want to launch at the beginning of that trend. And the way you can find those trends is, at least for me, is you look at something that's evergreen. Let's say it's a skincare product. And you know that people buy, I don't know, moisturizers as a cream all the time. And they've been buying them for the last maybe 50 years-ish, at least. So if I want to get into that space, which is very competitive, I'm competing with like the biggest brands in the world, I can't just do the exact same thing. So my criteria now is I have to find something that makes my moisturizer uniquely different. And if I analyze trends enough, I look at how searches change on Google Trends, for example. If there's something I just notice from watching what's going on in my space, I can quickly test with small order to see if people would trust enough to buy from my brand of that evergreen problem. Say this is moisturizer, but maybe with this unique ingredient that only now became famous. Maybe it's something that's like Korean beauty is now a big trend. Maybe it's something Korean. And I just add that ingredient because there are lots of searches, not huge, but growing very fast. So now we have a combination of something that's growing very fast, the new thing, and an evergreen problem. So that's how I would battle competition and how I would still go into competitive spaces.
Perfect. It's a very nice approach. And also, you mentioned conversion rate, and you test with a few, let's say 200 units or 300, whatever, to test and get a real data from the market. So, what is the minimum search volume you are looking for? And also, what is the minimum conversion rate?
These are great questions, but I'm not analytical enough to tell you. I very often play it by like my gut feeling and seeing the trends. So it's not as critical for me what the actual search volume right now is, but how fast it grows. Just like with investments, I couldn't care less how much I have to invest, well, to a degree, but what is the ROI? So if the ROI is there, it's not expensive, right? It makes sense. So same with the search volume. If it's growing fast, I'm interested because I want to be taking advantage of this wave of this cycle, right?
Perfect. Very nice approach. Okay, so I have a question for this one. You said the lifetime of any products, it's from 18 to 24, and I believe also this. Um, how or when to, if you find a product, let's say it's been selling or the keyword has 2 years, you will decide to enter this based on the search volume history, or you want to start on a very new niche?
Um, yeah, there's no real right or wrong answer to this, honestly. It would be, again, it depends on how much you want to risk and how much you're willing to invest. New niches are interesting because you can be one of the first. But as I said, I like evergreen approach as well. So products that people need all the time, no matter what's going on in the economy, right? And no matter what their preferences are like. So ideally, again, a combination of something that has history, right? But also with a unique tweak. So if the search term again would be moisturizer for, maybe just figure out that after four, Amazon
Or
suggests
relevant.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that hasn't been the case a couple of years ago, but now it's becoming trendy. I'm just coming up with weird example that might not be applicable in real life. But that's kind of what I look for. So ideally, something that's not going to be and like this quick like small life cycle products like these fidget spinners they probably lasted just a few months, right? I think when I was launching scratch off map, everybody was saying like, oh, this is going to last just a few months. It did last longer, but there was a risk, right? So for that reason, history helps with that confidence that this is a longer play. Yeah, but you do want to have some unique tweak that's up to date that is only in the beginning of that product life cycle.
perfect. So we talked, conversion rate is very important, most important factor on Amazon, and also a lot of factors, but conversion rate is top. So when you approach or have an approach like this, the main advantage you have is your differentiation point because you have a lot of sellers. So how do you get your ideas how to differentiate, or do you make like a customer avatar and then see what the market needs and try to offer this one? Or how do you get your ideas?
Yeah, there are many ways. Again, niche dependent. Some people look through off Amazon sources, so not only what's going on Amazon, but say, I think you were showing me this as well, like Pinterest could be a good source of ideas. Etsy can be a good source of ideas, right? And seeing what works there that may not be present on Amazon. Some people are just very close to the community they're trying to serve with the brand. Let's say they're cycling. So they just jump on a bike every day and they are part of this community. So they know all the trends, what's going on. And that's how they can spot something new and trendy and be one of the first to market, right? For me, when I have an idea, I always run it through my tool as well. I'm a co-founder of Product Pinion, and it's world's first tool for Amazon sellers that allows you to watch how customers shop. So this function is what I would use. So if I have an idea and these products already exist, I would send people to search results, and they would record their screen answering my questions, and essentially clicking on the ones that attract their attention, clicking on the ones they would buy and explaining why. And then they click on a few, they look at them, they explain if all the information they have is there, if they have all the features and benefits that matter to them, if any information is missing. And after watching 5, 10 videos like that, I usually get really good ideas on how to differentiate and what people are looking for in these products, what really matters, right? And then that goes into the brief on my product criteria, and then I get quotes and stuff and see if it's possible to be different in that way, right? So it's very customer centric. It's not what I think is important. It's more so what my target audience prefers and is looking for right now.
Actually, I know Product Pinion and the tool you mentioned right now. While you're speaking, I was thinking after we finish the video, I will use it because I have a product in mind. People are searching for a keyword, but I don't know what they really mean because it's only 2 keywords, first one and second one. So I'm thinking, does the people want this item or this item? So I will use the tool after we finish, and because it's very, very interesting that
Yeah.
customers will send you a video. It's very, can we show or like a video? How can we do that today or something like that?
100%. Yeah. We can do this at the end for sure. I even have an SOP. So like the whole process that I follow for testing, which may help people if they follow it as well. And I can show the video as part of it, if you prefer.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
You mentioned conversion rate. I know it's broad to how to optimize your conversion rate. It's very broad. But what are the most important things you look at your listing or your product to increase your conversion rate?
Good question. I think conversion starts, first of all, from click-through rate, right? So you need to get that click first before you can convert. So there are essentially 3 stages. You get the click, you get the attention, you get the click, then you get their interest in the listing. So they add it to cart, and you just don't have to mess it up. Third stage, make sure they buy. So the way you start thinking about it is 80% of your success comes from optimizing for that initial click. So conceptually, from big picture, you want to stand out, and you want to stand out in a good way. The way you stand out in a good way is you break the pattern. So if everyone's searching for, let's say moisturizer, and every image looks the same, it's like a plastic bottle, and has the brand name, it has face moisturizer written on the bottle, and everyone's like grayish, bluish, greenish, and all of a sudden yours fits the whole space and you're red. At the very least, you're probably going to get that attention and high likelihood the click. I'm just using very simple terms to explain, but that first stage is very important. So if you don't get that click and people don't end up on your listing, we can't really talk about conversion, right? So that initial click-through is critical. And what impacts click-through? Obviously, people are looking for the best deal. So you want to have the right pricing. You want to have, if possible, like a coupon, crossed-off price. So it seems like it's on discount. People have extra incentive to rush through the purchase decision and buy it. So obviously, number of reviews and review ranking matters. Can't just ignore it. Got to have a good product with good reviews. And as many as possible. And obviously, at certain thresholds, your conversion goes up. So if you have 10 reviews, you may not have as great of a conversion, even if everything else is perfect, compared to when you have 1,000, right? So all of these things matter, and people do care about other people reviewing and what they say. So even reviews themselves, people check their pictures, videos, because they trust other people like themselves much more than they trust random brand. But what you have the most control over, I would say, are 2 things: the main image and the title. Okay. And both can help you break the pattern. So with the main image, an example I showed you that explained to you that could help you. So think of how you position the product in a way that is just not the same. People scroll through it and it's like scroll stopper. It's like, what happened? What is this? Oh, interesting. Okay. Because everyone else blends in, right? You want to stand out visually. And with the title, the first few words make a difference, not only on SEO, what you index and rank for, but also what people's perception is. And what I often recommend, if possible, use a like a bomb, what do you call it? A speed bump keyword. So when you ride a car and in let's say next to school, you would have these speed bumps. So you can't
Okay.
really drive fast. They would stop you, so you have to kind of brake. So think of the same approach with the keywords in the beginning of your product name. So maybe if your product is something super sturdy, like you can't really break it, it's made of unbreakable materials. Maybe that's what you say, unbreakable. And people are scrolling through all of these boring names like unbreakable. What do you, oh wow. Actually, that's important. I like it. Or indestructible. Like no one would even use that word. So you stand out right away, right? So these are the two major ways outside of like pricing reviews where you can position yourself as a uniquely better offer and get that click first. And conversion is the whole other story. Obviously, yeah, you just don't have to mess it up and answer all the questions they have and make them feel smart that they're buying from you, essentially.
Perfect. It's very interesting. Okay, I know a lot of people ask me how to know the average conversion rate, and it's very broad, but conversion rate differs from one thing to another. Let's say you open your business report and you see the unit session percentage, it's the whole conversion rate. When you look on a keyword on the advertising, it's another thing. So
Yeah.
how do you optimize your conversion rate? Do you optimize based on business report and conversion rate? And what is the most important for you?
Honestly, again, there's no right or wrong approach. I do check the overall conversion because it gives me a big picture idea of what's going on. But every day I'm checking what's going on with my keyword conversion. I'm using Scale Insights for this to see where every important keyword is at. How do we convert? And I compare that to data from Datarova to see what the average is, whether I'm close, whether I'm better or worse. So I think top, I would say 10 to 12-ish keywords is what I track quite often, like pretty much every day, and see if my conversion is improving. Because at the end of the day, Amazon is still a search-based marketplace, and people use keywords to search. So to me, it's very precise to see how situation changes if I'm looking at my top keywords and whether my conversion goes up or down. And it's PPC data, so it's not all of the data, but it still helps me understand and maybe gives me some ideas as well to optimize it because you can use keywords not only in the listing. What I find quite often, so another point you can test for main image. If you use the main keyword somewhere on the image itself and it looks appropriate, potentially part of the packaging, which is the most common way, and people search for something. Let's say again, they're searching for face moisturizer and your image shows up and out of first 10 they see, only yours says in big, easy to read font, face moisturizer, something clicks in their mind. I was looking for this, it's right here, it speaks to me, there's higher chance they're gonna click, right? So yeah, a lot of things you can do to improve for conversion. And sometimes the way your product is just can't be optimized for every single keyword. So you just have to accept that too. And you just go after the ones that you do really well with and become more aggressive because oh, I'm converting better than everybody else on this. How do I like fast forward my progress and speed it up?
Perfect. So you mentioned Skill Insights and another tool. Can you spell the name?
Datarova, yeah, Datarova, I think. I think
Okay.
there are many similar tools. I'm pretty much platform agnostic, but these are just the ones I happen to be using right now.
Yeah, because it's very interesting to add this link in the description of the video. So
Sure.
you mentioned writing the text or keyword in the image. And also on the WhatsApp group, I saw a lot of messages you sent about indexing for these keywords. And it's very interesting. Maybe it is the first time in the Middle East to share something like this. How can we index for a keyword in the image? Does we have to make the image in some format or what?
It's honestly, it's still a debate whether Amazon is fully reliant on this. Um, but it seems logical. Okay, so there's no official confirmation, but what we speculate is Amazon's AI, I think it's called Cosmo, is always scanning all of the images, and that information is being saved so that essentially AI is trying to understand what's going on in the image. Part of it is reading the keywords. You also don't want to keyword stuff your image so it looks messy. You want to communicate messages clearly and not overwhelm people. There's also that cognitive bias. You don't want to use complicated long tail keywords if the way person would describe the problem or the product is very simple. Ideally, you want to be using their language so they feel more connected emotionally, right? But I do believe currently that Amazon scans all the images, and I've seen already, I've tested it myself on one of the products, that if I have a keyword on the image and nowhere else on the listing, and that keyword is easy to read, so there's enough contrast, and I'm using our internal free tool anyone can use, image check, imagecheck.com. It's just weird spelling without CK, just image check with K. That tool taps into Amazon's API, and then you can see how high of the confidence Amazon has for everything that's on the image. It can recognize your avatar, if there's a person, if it's a lifestyle image. It can recognize all of the keywords that you have, whatever, all the text, and how readable it is. So if your font is easy to read, perfect. Um, and so what I've done with that experiment, the image had a keyword. I didn't have it anywhere else in the listing, not on the back end, anywhere. No ads, nothing. And then I checked if I'm indexing, and I'm indexing for that keyword. So Amazon recognized it after a few days, I think, and now we index for it. So if we wanted to rank, we can probably advertise and start getting ranked, right? Or do other things for ranking. So it's definitely important to keep that in mind. So it's not only for humans, but also for Amazon's AI that we optimize the listing images.
It's very interesting because people used to know in order to index in a for a keyword on the image, you just make the file name of the image with this keyword, but you say something because if anyone want to test, just add a keyword, let's say two keywords in the image, and then check with index checker on Helium 10 or whatever tool and see. But as you tested, so I believe that also.
Something else to add to it, Abdullah, is Rufus currently answers questions when people have them on the listing. I noticed a couple of times when I would ask something randomly, it would pull an image. And if I'm asking, let's say, I can't remember the example I had. Sometimes information on the image would answer the question best, and Amazon just pulls that image. So Rufus would show you the image as the answer. So that also signals to me that, Amazon is reading the images. Otherwise, it wouldn't know what it is about, right? And it's going to answer my question. Or maybe if I ask how many go in the set, and if I have an image that says 10 included, Rufus might suggest that as the answer.
Yeah, it's interesting to test something like this.
Yeah, definitely play with Rufus. I also recommend using it as a source of frequently asked questions. So if you go to your competitor listings, see what suggestions Rufus gives. Because you may come to it and don't really have questions, but Rufus will give you some suggestions. And if you start seeing that your top competitors have the same suggestions, check if your listing answers those questions, because that's what people need. Otherwise, Rufus wouldn't be suggesting it.
And if
So
we
another hack.
find that Rufus is not answering the same answer for our competitors, what should we do to optimize this one?
You mean if they don't say
If,
again?
okay, if I have a product and you are my competitor, I run Rufus for your page and he answers all my questions. And then I asked same questions for my product and answer wasn't too good as you. How can I make Rufus to answer more better answers?
You just have to make sure your listing has answers to it, because Rufus scans everything on the listing, including reviews, questions people ask in the questions section, and all the information on the images as we now speculate. So make sure whatever are the most frequently asked questions on Rufus on your competitors are properly answered on your listing. So if you see that he's not suggesting proper answers. Something must be missing. Maybe your bullets are not complete to answer those questions, or maybe your images can be improved to answer those questions. And then after a while, you'll see if it's better when you test it again.
Perfect. A lot of people I know, maybe, especially in the Middle East, they don't know about Rufus because it's maybe a year ago it's introduced or something. So Rufus it's an AI for Amazon. Like for the customer, they ask him any questions and he answer. Let's say I want to find the perfect wrinkles remover, whatever, and he answers.
Yeah, especially on the listing. When you go to the listing in the Amazon US, you'll see now I think it's under the images section. It would have some questions prepared for you. So if you're wondering anything, most likely your question in your mind is very common. It would have the suggestions. Do you want to ask this? You just click on it. So it's like ChatGPT for the listing, essentially.
Perfect. So you mentioned Product Pinion a lot. So let's dive into Product Pinion because I know you have a great tool, a lot of tools. So let's dive into to know more about the tools you have.
Absolutely. Yeah, let me share my screen so I can show you what it looks like. And maybe someone can utilize this and grow their conversion. So this is just me inside my account. This is what it looks like from the inside. And on the left, you'll see we have three major types of tests: Pinion video, Pinion polls, and Pinion ask. So I'll go from the bottom up. So Pinion ask is think of like Google form or type form where you can ask multiple questions of the same person. My favorite from here, let me show you quickly. My favorite would be this question, 3-second test. Okay. So I upload a file. Let me find something interesting. Yeah, let's see. This is the file. Maybe this could be a good example. Yeah. Let's try. So this is what people see. You'll be looking at an image for only a few seconds. You'll need to answer what was the main purpose of the image you just saw. They click on it. I'm not touching anything. They can't control it. 3 seconds, it's gone. And you can set up how long you want it to show. But essentially, it's replicating the search results. Because if people go to Amazon search results, they definitely don't spend more than 3 seconds looking at every image, probably less. I think 3 seconds is generous. So this is a good test to see if you're communicating, what you're trying to communicate well, and people can tell you, oh, I saw this knee pillow. It was white and whatever, had weird green background. So this test is just a fun one, but there are so many different options you can play with. If you need to ask the same person different questions, you can just add more questions. So it can be like add question, add another one. Now, Pinion polls is what people are familiar with. It's more like split testing. So it can be something on the white background, like two different options. It can be something in the search simulation setting where there are lots of options. I'll show you some of good examples during my SOP. Okay, so after this, I'll show you how, like my whole process essentially. Now, videos is what we started with. Videos is where people record their screen fully, answering your questions out loud, just like I'm speaking to you now, looking at my screen. That's what you get. So you can send them to any link you want. Can be your Shopify store, can be your listing on Amazon, can be your competitor listing. And you can learn anything you need by asking many people. And they spend usually 3 to 5 minutes. We cut them hard at 7 because we don't need long videos. And we also have AI summary looking at all the results. So you'd have analysis there built in and potential action steps for your graphic designers to develop new concepts. And the way I approach the whole testing process is actually 1, 2, 3 this way. 3 is mostly for like developing products or diving deeper into statistical stuff. Now, mostly it's videos and polls, okay? Videos is qualitative testing and polls are quantitative testing where you see how many people actually clicked and also why, but you actually want to see the data. Now, should I dive into the SOP and show the step by step?
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So I have an example here. I've shared this example with Daniel McMillan. Some of you might know. Oops. Let's cut this out. So this example is of a teeth whitening pen. Okay. So this product is doing quite well. It's very often #1 bestseller in the space competing with the biggest brands in the world, like Colgate, and any of these big toothpaste brands, right? They would have some kind of tooth whitening pen. And the issue with this product is conversion is always up and down. So the brand came for this experiment and shared this information with us. And here's what we did. So as I said, qualitative testing is how I usually start the process. And by qualitative testing, I mean collecting actual interview data. So let me see if I can share the video with you as well. Okay, let me play this.
First one that stands out to me is this snow gold colored one. Because of the gold color, most teeth whitening products like these have a bluish background.
So I'm not really drawn to this one. I don't think I would buy it just because it looks like an unknown brand.
I probably wouldn't bother with this one because it looks like you only get one tube, whereas all these others you get at least two, it seems. Maybe not this one.
As many ratings and reviews as the one that caught my eye second, also because of the gold color, which is this aura glow.
The other ones that
Color
caught
matters.
my eye were this one, the snow. I really like the packaging. Also, it looks like this
Yeah,
is a
this guy
two-pack
stands
package,
out.
which is really nice. So you're getting more bang for your buck.
Colgate catches my eye, but it's really because of the colors, not necessarily because Colgate is a great brand or company.
Most of these other ones are just knockoff brands. That's pretty common on Amazon these days. From the ones that I'm seeing, if not Colgate, I might go with the Smile Shark one just because of the graphic.
Anyways, you get the idea. We collected this data just by listening to people and seeing what are the most commonly mentioned reasons they're clicking on the images. So let me go to the next stage. So here's what we did next. So the baseline test is essentially a measure of where we are right now in terms of click share. So this is Product Pinion internal. It looks like Amazon, but this is simulated. Okay. So what we did is we selected the closest possible products to us so that we know why we're losing to them or why we're winning based on the most similar options people are looking at. Okay. This is us. And currently asking, I think, 400 people. Yeah, 400 people in this case. We're getting 7.23% of clicks. So only 29 people ended up clicking on us with that image. Okay. All the information is the same, the exact same number of reviews, pricing as is on Amazon, because that's the real situation. That's what we're dealing with. Now, obviously, if you ask, I used Pinion GPT internal chat to figure out the most common reasons. It's reviews, price, and rating. Yeah, pretty obvious. Everybody knows that. So here's a crazy idea. What if we pretend that reviews, price, and ratings are all the same? And we can do that with Product Pinion. So, and we standardize the offer. So everybody offers a 2-pan. So there's no real reason to click on a 3-pan or 4-pan because everybody's 2-pan. So the thought was like, maybe we can learn something from this, right? So I called it the skewed baseline test because now this is not a real situation, but it's still simulated within Amazon. So again, this is what it looked like. This is the actual situation, the first original test we did, and this is the new one. So if I go back, look at the difference. Everybody becomes a 2-pack, everybody becomes $18.95, and everyone has the exact same number of reviews, which is crazy, 16,000 something. So no sane human being should be able to say, oh, I bought this because it has the best price or has the most reviews or has 2-pan and the other ones have 1-pan. Now everybody's the same, okay? So the only variable is essentially the image. What we also did, we excluded people who participated in the previous poll because they're biased. They already have something in their mind. They already see this before. So now they're like, oh, I'm going to choose the same one. Somebody asked me this again. The answer is the same. So the same demographic, but different people. We exclude the ones who already participated before. The baseline again, 7.23. This is the actual situation. Now it changes slightly. So everything is the same. We get slightly more. So in the skewed baseline test, we get 8.73% of the clicks. Okay, so far so good?
Perfect.
Okay, now what I did next, I asked in this new test, our internal GPT, what are the major reasons? So now that I know that they're not going to say reviews, rating, pricing, I know that it's dentist approved, safety assurance, and premium packaging and quality. So whatever can communicate these 3 things will get the click. Okay, most people cared about this the most. So this matters. Safety assurance, so maybe it's animal safe, no sensitivity, all these claims. And then if it's dentist approved somehow or certified, you get that trust, even if you're not a known brand. Okay. So third stage, concept creation and testing. So we developed with a very cool designer, Dorian Gorski, the founder of Kepler. We developed a new concept. So again, this is the original. This is what it looks like. And he developed A, B, and C options. Some of them look pretty crazy to me. Not a big fan, but who cares? We need to get the click. Now, let me ask you, which one do you think won the comparison test from these three? What do you think, Abdullah?
Okay, maybe um, for me it will be B.
Okay, not a bad guess because B did win. Now let's see why. Okay, so it did win by a lot, 89% certainty. Like statistical significance is important. If we had, say, 71 people voting here and 70 here, it's not statistically significant enough, even though technically it would win. And we also tested it on mobile because we knew that at least half of purchases from this brand come from mobile. Now, remember that skewed baseline test, right? Everybody had the same offer.
Only one variable.
Yeah, exactly. Just the image was the difference, essentially. Same pricing, same reviews, same ranking, all of them 2-pen offers. So I looked at it again and I realized that the top choices there, the ones who got the most clicks, looked more like self-care products, more like beauty products, more like something related to beauty, right? It's very clean, minimalist. And when I checked with the brand manager, the actual data, females were twice as big of an audience for this product. So obviously they care about the look and they care for it to look nice and prestigious if they ever take it out and their girlfriends see that or whatever, or maybe the way it stands on the shelf in the bathroom, it matters how it looks. Okay. So we developed this new concept, which is more minimalist, clean. Out of these two options, what do you think Abdullah got the most clicks?
A, because then
Think
I think that because dentist tested, it's more contrast and more standard.
easier to read. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. So I just asked you that question. You're right. A1, maybe it's the colors, because maybe female don't care for black as much. Maybe it's just easier to read that it's dentist tested and it assumes it's somehow American, right? There's this flag, whatever. So A wins, and A wins by a lot. So again, statistically significant, 98% certainty. So now what we're gonna do, now we have two strong potentials. So we have one that's like minimalist, clean, more like beauty product, and the crazy one on the right. It has everything thrown at it, so it's just lots of information. Okay, so another battle. Should we see which one wins?
Let's go.
Okay, let's do that. So which one do you think got more clicks this time, A or B?
B.
Okay, you're thinking it's B. Neither. So what ended up happening is the results were way too similar. So as you see here, it says statistical significance, we didn't reach it. So it's almost 50-50, okay? Now, what do you do in these cases? Obviously, comparing just on the white background without no context is valuable only when you have very similar concepts of the same thing, just like we did previously for each of them, for this one and for that one. And we got out of like different 2-3 options of each, which one is the most interesting, right? Now, if you compare this way, it's not really the proper way. And the proper way is contextual testing. So with contextual testing, we again compare the baseline options. So, we started initially showing where we at, click share wise. We can do the same here to see which one gets more clicks compared to the baseline we had. So again, neither one. What do we do? This is the original. This is how many clicks we actually got, 29 out of 400, so 7%. Now we do the same test with a new concept. But again, we exclude last shoppers, so they're unbiased. We exclude everybody who participated in the previous tests about this product before. Concept A, the one who won in the minimalist style. We put it here instead of the original picture. Everything else is the same. Real situation, real pricing, real offers, okay? Old baseline, 7.23%. New baseline, 8.79. Slightly better, but a slight improvement. Not very conclusive. I wouldn't bet my life on this. Okay. What if we do concept B, that insanity winner, that crazy one? Let's see what happens. So here it is in the search simulation. Again, real market situation, all the same as in the original baseline test. So original baseline test, 7.3, 23%. New baseline test, 11.28. So that's now significant. Now we're like closer to the top. And maybe we cannot compete with the best ones, but we still get way more attention, essentially more click-through. Okay. So again, base, we got 7%, concept, 11%. What does it really mean, these percentages? So the result is 56.1 higher click-through rate. That's
After you
quite a
test
lot.
Amazon?
No, this is comparing these numbers. So what
Okay.
these numbers really mean in like the relation of the difference, right? So much higher click-through rate. What does it really mean if we do this on Amazon? Out of 1,000 impressions, so 1,000 people scrolling through, 113 more of them end up on your listing.
Crazy. Wow.
Let's say 1/3 of them buy. That's already worth testing, right? Already worth the experiment and going through all the process. Especially with like this product is probably like $20 or something like that. So just for moving forward and to express the whole approach we have to testing, doesn't mean that B is the best. We might still be wrong, and there's no limit to how much you can perfect it, really. So the thought we had next was, what if we marry them? And what if we developed option C that has the combination of both, especially if we really look into responses and realize the reasons people liked each of them, the A and the B. And maybe if we marry them and we have a baby that has the best of both worlds, we get even more clicks. So just an idea, something I would test next. So if this is my product, it's just a never-ending process because you always need to be testing. You're never done. It's like brushing your teeth. You always have to test again and again and again. And those who do this all the time, they get the benefit of this compound interest. Every month they're slightly better. And then it's impossible to compete with those brands.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's my little story.
Perfect.
I'll stop sharing.
I was blown away with this presentation.
Yeah, happy to hear that. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's practical and that SOP is easy to follow?
Very practical. Yeah, it was very easy to follow. And also, you didn't make only one A/B testing. You make an A/B testing, then another A/B testing, and then a branch of two different A/B testings to get to the real or the most efficient image that will convert better in terms of CTR. I believe that.
Yeah, I think what a lot of sellers get wrong about testing is it's not about the prettiest image necessarily. It's good when it's nice and polished and beautiful, but beautiful doesn't always convert best. And we have to optimize for clicks. And those clicks happen in relation to everything around your listing, everything else going on Amazon. It's not just you versus it's not just new you versus old you. It's actually you versus everybody else. How do you break that pattern? That's the question. And you want to break it in a good way. You don't want to look like something like, oh, I would never click on this. You want to look like, oh wow, what is that? I love it, you know? And that's how you earn the click and increase your chances of selling more as long as you convert with the rest of the images.
Wow. Amazon is science. You know, you watched Breaking Bad series?
Oh yeah.
It's an art.
It is science.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of both, especially for products where design matters. I think it's both art and science. And since you have access to tools like Product Pinion, you can get those insights and people essentially tell you, I want that. This matters. I need it to be dermatologist tested. I need it to be dentist approved. And you're like, yeah, that's easy. I can get that certified or whatever.
Wow, it's very so. I will add the link of the tool in my video description. So a lot of people, when I said to some of my friends, you know, a tool, it's very interesting one to split test to designs, whatever. A lot of people ask me about that tool. That's why we made the video because of Product Pinion.
Absolutely. Yeah, and happy to help if anyone's running something or not sure how to approach conversion optimization. I'm usually very accessible. I'm on all social media. You can find me. It's just Andrei Sadlak. Pretty active on LinkedIn. Share a lot of stuff there. If you're into this science of Amazon and finding out how to optimize your conversion, you'll probably find my post interesting.
I will add all the social media links for you in the description. So before you go, what advice you say to someone who wants to start their Amazon journey, especially in 2025? Just the most important advice. What will it be?
The advice is long-term patience, short-term impatience, meaning don't expect results overnight, but expect to over-deliver every day. And that's how you get to the results you want.
It's good. Perfect. I took like 5 seconds to realize it.
Too complicated, right?
No,
Yeah,
no,
essentially
but you're right, yeah, because one of the skills you learn when you sell on Amazon, it's long story, and you have to be patient. Amazon learn you how to be patient. If you want to start your dropshipping journey, it's so easy just to make an order, but Amazon, a lot of things take a lot of times.
Yeah, you kind of have to teach Amazon what you are and why you're better. You're actually converting better, right? And you also want to always keep tweaking. As I said, it's like brushing your teeth. You're never done. It's not passive business. You always have to be on top of things because others will be, and that's how you lose if you get comfortable. So it's about incremental improvements that you gain from always trying new things, always experimenting, and getting that slight edge. And it compounds, right? Because first you optimize, let's say, the title, and you're like, okay, after I've done a few tests, I could probably get it slightly better, but not by a lot. Now let me focus on the image. Let me focus on the secondary image. Maybe I can speak about things people mentioned on the video and I get more people to buy. And you always stay on top of things and try what may work better. And if you never give up, eventually you become one of the best and you earn that market share by always catering towards customers better than everybody else. I call it by out-caring your competition. Because your competition mostly just want to sell the product. They couldn't care less about the customer. But if you do, customers feel it and they want to buy from you.
And that's why, in order to succeed, you have to give value, not just anything, not just an e-commerce. If you want to succeed in maybe YouTube channel, you have to give value. When you give value, what you mean, you give value, you treat your customer, know what they want from your product, you care about every single detail, and you craft a perfect product. The value, it's the money or the sales you're making.
That's very true. Now we're getting to philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I believe as well. Wealthy people are the ones who provide the most value. Not necessarily the hardest workers, but they provide the most value. And tools like Amazon allow you to scale easier because you don't physically deliver every box, right? So you can deliver more value with the same amount of time that everybody else has. Yeah, it's all about delivering more value, and that's how you earn your dollars.
Andre, I truly appreciate your taking time to join me today, and I want to thank you for not only the time, your information, and every advice you shared in this video. It means a lot. And in the Middle East, there is a gap in the information. There are a lot of information or a lot of videos about how to start Amazon, but the things you were talking about, how to scale your business, how to split test, how to craft the perfect product. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank you in the Arabic
It's my
word.
honor.
It's called shukran. Shukran means thank you. So
Shukran.
yeah.
Shukran, Abdallah.
Yeah, you came to Egypt 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Love Egypt. Beautiful place.
Yeah, thank you. And I hope to make another video and see you soon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on.
Okay.
And yeah, keep delivering value. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Okay. Bye bye.